Alright guys, what's up? It's Rick from Average Car Enthusiast. Today, we have a 2012 Toyota Tacoma. It has a 4-cylinder, it's putting out, I don't know, 159 horsepower and 180 foot-pounds of torque. Honestly, I'd prefer the 6-cylinder, but you get what you can take, you know? So, and this car is actually owned by a friend of mine who's actually operating the camera right now. I usually use a GoPro with these, but I'm stupid and forgot the SD card. I'm gonna roll this up so you can actually hear me. Overall, from my first impressions of actually driving it right now, I love the steering wheel. It's nice, it's hefty. It gets up the road pretty good too. The actual speed of this, I'm actually kind of impressed by. I didn't even realize I was going at fucking 60 miles per hour right there. So the owner is actually operating the camera right now. So what are your actual thoughts on the car? You've owned this thing for 5 years now?
That's correct. As far as the car goes, as far as the vehicle goes, just in general, it's a solid, all-around, well-built vehicle. The main issues that I had with it is like interior. As far as interior goes, it feels cheap, it's very light, but I mean, it's a Japanese-made car, and it's pretty middle of the road. Like, Tacomas are extremely common. But like Rich said, the steering wheel is extremely chunky. I really enjoy that. It handles very smoothly. I've had very little to no issues whatsoever in the 5 years that I've ever operated this vehicle. And I mean, it just works for me all in all.
So it has some very soft brakes, it seems, though.
It's extremely squishy brakes.
Yeah.
Like, it takes some getting used to, but once you get used to them, they feel good.
Yeah, it's very, I guess the word would be spongy, which is a bit different than what I'm used to. I usually drive the Subaru BRZ, which has, everything feels very rock solid in that car. This, it does have more of that truck feel. It's not like the low fucking sports car. This is more of the off-road vehicle. Speaking of which, we actually did bring this thing off-road yesterday. That was a hell of a good time. And I obviously didn't drive during that, not my vehicle, and I don't want to wreck it and get it stuck. So if you want, you can explain on that.
As far as off-road goes, like, you can't sink this thing. It's nigh onto impossible. Like, you got to put this thing in a real rough situation to actually get it hung up. But as far as off-road, I've taken this thing in snow. Just recently, the other day, we took it through mud. We took it through real rough terrain on an old back road, and it held up. I was actually pretty surprised by its overall endurance and performance. But as far as like getting back and forth to work every day, as far as getting through snow, getting through real rough conditions, this would be the vehicle that I'd recommend to pretty much anyone on that.
It's an off-road vehicle. It's like, its line has always been more of the off-road special. You don't really see these things as like the street monsters. These are like the rock crawlers and the mud, basically like the ones that will chug through pretty much anything. I was honestly kind of surprised we made it through that relatively smooth. Like, I don't think we had any spot where it's just like, oh, we might not be getting out of this mud hole. One spot we did have to stop because there were trees kind of blocking our little spot there. So we kind of had to turn around a little bit earlier than I was hoping, but in the time that we did drive it, it actually performed incredibly well. And so out here now, it's actually a fairly smooth ride. I mean, you kind of expect it. It has the softer suspension. It's not a sports car. It's not gonna hit every bump and it's just gonna jerk you around everywhere. It's a very smooth ride. I could realistically see driving this from A to B pretty much every day, which the owner actually does. This is his only car. It handles incredibly well for a truck. It makes sense, smaller truck, not too big. So it's not like driving a massive yacht around. Okay, so this truck has about 79,000 miles and some change on it. Around that time, some issues might start creeping up. Have there been any that you've actually seen?
As far as mechanically, there is only one issue, and it's not even that big of an issue. There's just a very strange sound that happens every now and again. But I mean, it could lead back to anything. It might just mean that I need to grease the undercarriage or anything else like that. It's more of a whirring sound. There's no trouble with the transmission. The engine's fucking perfect. I mean, it's a Toyota, so it's gonna run forever.
Yeah, like this truck might actually outlive us. That's a realistic thing. I've seen old fucking Corollas from the 80s, and they're still chugging along. You see them every day. And so overall, there hasn't been any massive issues, like no, like on the suspension, transmission, anything. And overall, it's basically operated fine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's been no like massive thing that I had to do to it. All I've done is change oil, change out the air filters, just do basic preventative maintenance. And this truck has been running smooth and carrying on its weight the whole time that I've had it.
If there was one thing that you could actually change about this truck, what would it be? Not including the whirring sound.
Okay, well, I mean, as far as actual get up and go that this vehicle has, I mean, it's solid. It has plenty of torque for what I do with it, at least, like point A to point B. But I would like to have something along the lines of like the V6 model, something like that. Just something with a little bit more power. Just something that I can actually work with, you know what I mean? It's like for right now, the 4-cylinder is okay for point A to point B, maybe like hauling a couch, something like that. But you're not really going to be hauling hay or doing anything around the farm or anything else like that with this vehicle.
Makes sense. I mean, you could. It does have a towing capacity of 3,500 pounds. So you could realistically haul some stuff with this, and it's not going to destroy it. If anything, you could maybe tow a small car with it. Not if you have like an actual car trailer, but with like, except you could haul like a Honda Civic on a tow dolly with this, and you should be fine. Even though it's only the 4-cylinder, you're still good. And I kind of agree with you. I would probably like this truck a lot more if it did have the V6 inside of it. I just don't really. It's a very weird sensation to hear a 4-cylinder out of a truck, because I've only owned like the V6 and V8. Like that's all I do with trucks. So if anything, yeah, that's probably what I'd change as well. Maybe a manual transmission, but that's just because I'm a snob. Because manual's the best.
It's true. I mean, when I was searching for this vehicle, I was actually looking for a manual transmission. And instead of having automatic windows and auto locks, I was just trying to go for the manual stuff. But apparently you got to pay more for that kind of stuff nowadays, because they don't ship them from the factory like that anymore.
Right.
And it's more of a hassle. So yeah, probably manual transmission V6. That would be the dream.
Yeah, she's actually pretty good. I actually had the foot straight to the fucking floor there, and it wasn't exactly quick moving. It was a lot of show, not a lot of go. V6 definitely could be a massive improvement. So after this truck, would you say that you would get another Tacoma?
Absolutely. I mean, definitely. Like, Tacomas are they're tanks. You can't kill them. Me personally, I think the next vehicle that I do get is going to be a full-size truck. So I'm considering the Tundra, possibly a Nissan Titan, something like that. But like, if this truck did die, then I would definitely consider getting a brand new Tacoma just like it, just from the experiences I've had in the past 5 years.
Overall, I have one gripe with this truck,
okay,
and it is that it is underpowered. It does not feel like a truck engine. It just doesn't feel like it's giving out enough on the street. It worked great off-road. It worked fantastic with that. It gave us enough actual torque to get out of the fucking little mud holes we were in and actually power through. Man, on the street, even though I'm going like 65, fucking 70, it feels slow. It's like, I don't know. It's just, it's a combination of the actual movement and the sound. It sounds like a 4-cylinder. And I don't like that in my trucks. That's just me. So, on the Tacomas, This is the end of the second gen, or it's around the end of that era. With those, you could get the single cab, the access cab, and the extended cab. The extended cab has the full 4 doors. This is the access cab, though. So in the back, you do have some back seats. Actually, I'll record that right quick. But you aren't exactly able to really fit anyone back there. I mean, you could, but your friends would probably have to be amputees from the knees down. You can fit stuff back there, like a backpack, maybe a shotgun, but you're not realistically moving people. Like, no, there's just no way. That's just not humanly possible. Like, up front, it's fantastic, though. You have plenty of space, though. Like, I feel like I might need to move the seat up, actually. So, this truck is not completely stock. It does have a wider set of tires on it. I didn't see the documentation behind it, except the owner, he has some more information behind it. So why don't you actually give me some information on that?
Just pretty much my last tire change, the guys asked me if I wanted to get wider tires, and they told me it would help me pick up, redneck chicks. So I was kind of into that because I kind of have a thing for like toothless mouths and dead teeth. So I went on ahead and got wider tires. They get rocks hung up in them just fucking constantly. But I enjoy it. I feel like it gives you a smoother ride. I feel like it gives you more stability. Almost like when I first got this truck, it almost felt like when you were taking a turn, it almost wanted to slide more often. These wider tires definitely give you more traction, to give you more displacement for any kind of terrain that you're going over top of. I was ecstatic with it when she went ahead and dug through those mud holes. Like, I was 100% happy with it, and it was all done with road tires. So you can only imagine what this vehicle is capable of with all-terrain or off-road tires just in general.
I would honestly love to see that too. So go and get that kit, go and get those all-terrains, and we'll do another off-road video. Speaking of off-road video, we already have that already up. So, well, correction, it's not up yet, but by the time this video's up, if you're watching this one right now, we'll also have the off-road video. Don't worry, it's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. You won't be at your desk waiting for it to get exciting. It's not very exciting, but it's fun. Please believe me. We are almost at our end point. So the final thoughts on this truck for me, I love the Tacomas. I will never say to not get a Tacoma. But what I will say is that if you're gonna get a Tacoma, make sure it's the V6. Please make sure it's the V6 and it has the 4-wheel drive.
Mine's just 4-cylinder with 4-wheel drive, so that way I feel like a man, even though I'm actually a woman man.
Fair enough. And with that, I think we are done. This has been the 2012 Toyota Tacoma SR5 4-cylinder. Thank you for watching.
Starting to hurt my feelings, Rich. I'm not knowing.
I'm sorry. It is a review.
Is there a safe space somewhere that I can go to?
We can go and pull over somewhere, and you can actually cry in the bed.
That's why I got the bed. I don't roll anything else back there. I just cry.
It's nothing except a pool for tears.